Hey guys, Joe here, and here we are for another matchup guide slash analysis, this time featuring Captain Falcon. Of course, I'll be going over the advantages, disadvantages, pros and cons of Captain Falcon, and then be talking a little bit about who's good in red versus. With all that said, let's get this started. Let's get this started off by talking about the pros and cons of Captain Falcon, starting of course with the pros. Now, the first one is that he's very fast. He's the second fastest run speed in the entire game, so of course, he's very quick. He can really go in, get a lot of combos, and being fast allows him to approach pretty decently as well. Next, he's heavy. This means that he will get comboed a little bit, but at the same time, he won't die for a very long time, and his recovery is decent enough that it does allow you to live quite a long time. Next, he does have amazing aerials. His aerials are some of the best in the entire game. His down air can be used to stomp and get some combos. His up air, of course, one of the best comboing aerials in the entire game, and can also kill pretty early. His Nairo also combos very well, and his back air and forward air can be used to just wall people off the side of the cliff. Very good aerials, very strong in that category. Also, he does have this great combo ability, down throw, nair, down throw, up air to up air to up air, and just all these different things comboing over and over and over together. He can really combo a lot, and this is, of course, a very good thing that does make Captain Falcon quite a good character in the game. Of course, next, he also have an amazing dash grab. This means that while you're running, you can dash grab pretty dang easily. Now, your regular grab isn't the longest, but your dash grab is, of course, actually pretty big. Another one is that he does have the longest perfect pivot. This means when you perfect pivot, you'll be able to get a lot of moves in, and you'll be able to hit the opponent pretty dang easily. After that, I'd say he does have a pretty good offstage game. Now, you can't go way too far offstage, but at the same time, you do have a lot of moves that can be used to gimp the opponent, or that can be used to just kill the opponent off the side. Mainly your back air and your down air. Also your up tilt at some points, or your down tilt. You have some pretty good stuff to kill the opponent off stage. Also with that, he does have a lot of kill options, varying from his side B to his side smash, to even his Falcon Punch if you really want to be a troll. You do his up smash, knee, back air, up air can kill, down air can kill. Really, he has a lot of kill options. Most of his moves can kill, and you won't really be having way too much trouble killing as Captain Falcon. And finally, of course, he can gimp opponents off stage, or he can just kill the opponents off stage. But of course, with all these pros, we must come up with some cons, and these cons I'd say would first be that he does have a bad recovery. It's very easy to gimp Captain Falcon. His up B goes straight up, and there's really not way too much you can do with it. It's very predictable, and if the opponent's being smart, they can probably kill you most of the time. Even though you won't die immediately, yeah, you're probably going to die all the time and be gimped pretty easily. Next, he does have a mediocre ground game. Now, a lot of his moves actually do have quite a bit of range, but at the same time, they don't really combo into anything, and they do have quite a bit of ending lag just for what type of character he is. Next thing, he does get easily comboed. Now, this is just a really bad thing, just because he's heavy, he's really tall. Enemies can combo him pretty darn easily, and of course, that's a big con. Next one is that he does have a bad regular grab range. If you're not dash grabbing, if you're not dashing and then grabbing, if you're just grabbing out of nowhere, you only grab like 1 inch. It's one of the worst grab games in the entire game if you aren't dashing, so really, you shouldn't be going for those way too much, and it does give him a big problem sometimes when the opponent's just a little bit too far away, but you don't want to quite dash grab. Other than that, he does have no projectile, which means that he can, of course, also be camped. Now, this is a really big problem because a lot of times you'll try to go in with a dash grab or with a dash attack, but if you can't get that, then there's not much you can do. You can't really just stick back because you don't have a projectile, and you can't camp the opponent back, so yeah, when you get camped, it can be really hard and can get you in a little bit of a strut. A thing after that is that he does get stuck in combos. He doesn't really have a get off me combo move. He doesn't have like Luigi Nair or Yoshi Nair. He can try to go for an air, but it comes out a bit too slow and he really gets comboed. There's not much you can do to get out of combos, is the main thing out of that. Also, he does have very slow specials. Almost none of his specials come out very fast. His side B is okay, but a lot of them actually won't be way too useful. And finally, he doesn't really start a lot of his combos off of his tilts, meaning that his tilts are okay at spacing and keeping the opponent away, getting a little bit of damage, but you won't be getting these 40 to 50% damaging combos off your tilts. But with all this said, let's talk about who is an advantage versus disadvantage and who's equal versus, in my opinion. Now, of course, just talking about this, pretty much what I mean by an advantage is mean that I think that he does have a higher chance to win against the opponent, but it does not mean that it's an auto win, or it does not mean that the enemy character pretty much auto loses. It just means that I think that you do have an advantage. That's about it, just so you guys all know in the comment section below. And if you do think that one of these characters, he does not have an advantage versus, or he has an advantage versus someone else, tell me in the comment section below and explain why, so then we can all help each other get better at the game. But with all that said, let's get this started. So who does he have an advantage versus? Well, first off, I'd say versus slow characters. He can run up in their grill, he can combo them, and of course a lot of them don't really have a get off me move. He can pretty much 0 to death a lot of the slow characters. They can't do way too much about you, and you just have a big advantage. Other than that, of course, he's good against combo fodder. Once again, they really can't get out of you, like attacks, and you just have a lot of combos. You do really well versus combo fodder. After that, he also does pretty well versus lightweights, heavy and lightweights in my opinion, because with the lightweights, you can kill extremely early, from your knee to your back air to your up air to your side smash, down smash, up smash, all these different moves. He has a lot of kill moves, of course, and that does allow him to actually do pretty well versus all these lightweights. You mean they die really easily, so it's okay in that way. After that, I'd say he does well against short-ranged opponents. Now, the main reason for this is because his tilts actually do have a lot of range. Now, sure, they don't combo very well, But you can still space opponents, you can keep them very far, and your Nair and your backer can also space the opponents that really don't have way too much range. And if you really outrange the opponent, they can't do way too much because you are so fast, you can move around the field, and you have a lot better just mobility. After that, he does do well versus people with really bad recoveries, or just decent recoveries, mainly because he can just pub stomp them, he can knee them, back air them, Nair them, he can do a lot of stuff against them, or he can just wait on the stage and then try to get a side smash. He's pretty good versus all these characters with a bad recovery. After that, he's good versus others with no projectile. Now, the reason for this is because they can't camp him, and if you can't camp Falcon, then he really has a fun time. He can just go in over and over and over again and do stuff that way. After that, he's good versus people with tether grabs. Now, of course, he doesn't have the best grab in the game, but if an opponent misses one tether grab, you can run up and kill them. Of course, you have a lot of very good mobility on the ground and in the air, so it's really easy to dodge a tether grab, essentially. So you just dodge it, attack them, and there you go. You get the win on that. And finally, I'd say he's very good versus people with little kill moves. Now, the main reason for this is because if they don't have much aerial kill moves or even ground kill moves, they can't really kill you much way. You're very heavy, your recovery is gimpable, but if they don't have a really strong kill move to gimp you, most of the time you can get back. So I'd say they really need a very strong kill move to finally finish you off, and if they don't have that, you'll pretty much have the advantage. Now that we've talked about the advantages, let's go over the disadvantages. Now, of course, Captain Falcon is a very strong character, and he can do well versus pretty much any matchup. Now, these guys just feel like he doesn't do as good as he does versus anyone else, but of course, he can win pretty much any matchup. He's a very strong character and a pretty strong high tier overall. Also, I'd say that most of these matchups don't get worse than 40-60, and most of them are about 55-45, something like that. They really aren't way too bad for him, so you can, of course, win them, but I'd say he does have a little bit of a disadvantage. With all that said, let's get right to these disadvantages and why he loses versus these people. The first one is people that can combo him like no other. Of course, he has really no way to get out of all of these combos, and if he can't space them in the first place, they can just run up, combo him, and he can't get out of them. Of course, he can have a bit of aerial mobility, but a lot of times that doesn't get him out of them. After that, I'd say he doesn't do way too great versus campers that do have a get off me move. Now, versus campers, he can do okay. A lot of times he does have a bit of trouble, but if they have a get off me move, it means that you'll be getting camped the entire time, and then when you finally get a combo started, they'll just use that, and there's really not way too much you can do. It's really annoying for Falcon and does create quite a bit of a problem for you. After that, he's very bad versus people with great gimping abilities. Of course, your recovery isn't way too good, so if they can gimp you really easily, there goes your stock. Next one is he's very bad versus these people that have very good boxing-based fighters. Pretty much mono-y-mono, very good 1 versus 1 on the ground, and he just doesn't a lot of times win these because his ground game just isn't the best in the game. Next, I don't think he's way too good versus people with a much better grab. Mainly for the fact that, of course, his grab isn't way too long or way too big, or doesn't really combo as well as some of the other grabs. So if they have a much better grab, then of course they can just out-combo you and out-grab you, even when you think that you should have gotten the grab. Also, I'd say he's just not as good versus some of these characters with a little bit better frame data, with a little bit better end lag. Now, of course, Falcon does actually have very good moves, very strong moves, very long range moves, but a lot of his moves do have quite a bit of end lag. But if you're fighting somebody without as much end lag, it can kind of be hard to kill them. A lot of times they won't have as much power, but having a lot less end lag does give them a bit of advantage over you, because if you miss one move, then they'll be able to punish you pretty easily. Finally, I'd say he has a disadvantage versus these people that are just less risky characters. In my opinion, Falcon's a pretty dang risky character. He has a lot of really cool stuff about him, a lot of stuff that makes him a great character, but at the same time, he is pretty risky. You have to play pretty offensively, and if you don't, a lot of times the opponent will just camp you, so I'd say he's really risky, and if you're playing a less risky character, a lot of times they can just beat you overall. The final thing to talk about is, of course, the even matchups with Captain Falcon. Now, I think Captain Falcon is on equal grounds with quite a bit of the characters in the cast, and mostly on equal grounds with characters that have one really good thing about them, but also a lot of flaws about them, pretty much like Captain Falcon. He's generally a very strong character, but when he is forced to the ground game, he can suffer somewhat. He's really strong overall, but of course, in some matchups, he doesn't win, but a lot of the times, he does have a pretty equal matchup. Finally, does Captain Falcon need a secondary? Now, with Captain Falcon, I would say that no, you do probably not need a secondary. He's a very strong character, he has a lot of good stuff about him, but he does have a lot of exploitable things about him. You don't really need a secondary as Captain Falcon. He can, of course, do very well by himself. If you did want to pick up a secondary, I'd pick up somebody with a very good recovery, because, of course, you are very heavy and you can withstand a lot of this stuff, but you probably want somebody with a good recovery, you know, that can just make up for Falcon's really bad recovery, and maybe somebody with a little bit more average frame data, but that doesn't have quite as much ending lag on a lot of their moves, and I feel like that would sit you quite easily with Captain Falcon. Of course, you can just play him by himself, but that would maybe help you a little bit. Thank you guys for watching, though. I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy this video and think that you learned anything from this video, then make sure to press that like button, and also tell me if you want to see more of these videos in the future. Also, in the comment section below, tell me what character you want in the future. I'll probably be doing Robin soon, because I've been seeing a lot of that, but tell me who else you want. Thank you guys for watching, though, and I'll be seeing you all next time.